Wasn't a review I planned on making. I mean, look at me. I'm just a hand in a car with a copy of Cyphus Cain here of the Imperium. But I'm making it anyway, so here we go. Magician's Dead, an arcade game that I came across by complete random in an arcade near where I live. Honestly, the only reason I gave it a look in the first place was because it had this weird controller that looked like it was a nunchuck and 2 buttons. However, while I was messing around with them, I looked at the screen and noticed that it was showing something that was supposed to be my hand, and I started moving around, and I was now shooting out magic. This made me think a lot of the game Gunslinger Stratos by Viking, another arcade game that I really liked, and lo and behold, turned out the game was by Viking. Essentially, both games are 3v3 third-person shooters where the entire point of the game is you have insane mobility and insane firepower. So the entire point is to go around and kill all of your enemies using one of the large selection of characters available. Because I wasn't paying attention when I was selecting characters, I ended up with what I can only describe as Anime Desu Midnight Bomber What Bombs at Midnight.
Yeah, getting warmed up, baby. Yeah! Seeing how I can get... Let me see, gotta get back a bit, I guess. Yeah, baby, yeah!
The main difference with this game as opposed to Gunslinger Stratos is you use your hands in order to do all the attacks. The end result of this is an insanely high level of maneuverability around the battlefield in which you can use to lay down fire on enemies from way up above them, or otherwise dodge their incoming fire as you pull off things like dropping a bus on the enemy or just straight out shooting them to death with your magic. While this all does sound kind of fun, and it is fun, a lot of this is due to the control imprecision, which can also cause you troubles. Essentially, your character just locks onto whichever enemy is nearest, and in order to lock onto a different character, you have to pull down your hand and hit that button in the middle of the console, which doesn't always work either. What's worse is once you are locked onto a character, you only move around them, and you don't really have an easy way to switch to another character who's hitting you from behind if they are further away. Additionally, the aiming is imprecise. I would constantly be trying to do the hand-waving movement, and it just wouldn't go off, no matter how many times I tried, and when it did go off, I didn't really have any control over it. Normally, I would just try to look up online to see if there's anything in terms of guides or people complain about this to see what I could do to help myself, but looking online, literally the only English thing I could find was an article from 2016 that said, "Hey, this game's coming over." Very helpful if I didn't know the game was already over here in 2017, but that seems to come down more to it being an arcade game with no real way to replicate it at home. Sort of like Gunslinger Stratos. Still, at about $1 for 2 rounds of the game, and also having Nessica Live support, which means you can save your progress and unlock things like special skins for your characters if you have the money for Nessica Live, which I don't. It is hard not to recommend at least trying out this game if it's at an arcade near you. Especially if you want to play as Desu Anime Midnight Bomber What Bombs at Midnight.
Evil Midnight Bomber! What bombs at midnight? Yeah, baby!
This has been That Man Over There in a very short and kind of unplanned review. Thank you for listening, and have a nice day.